Okay. All right. Okay. I'm live. All right. Okay. Here's my first live stream. It's all improvised because this is reality. Or is it a dream? I took off from Western society, wherever West is from. Somebody decided in Greenwich, England. But now I'm in Greenwich Village, or on the edge of it, at Union Square Loft, streaming here from, what's the name of your URL? I'm going to show the audience here, because my buddy Cosmos, who's behind the cameras, helping me with the first professional broadcast, not just on my phone on the street, but this is Union Square Loft. I hope you can see that. Yeah, there it is. Union Square Loft, and Cosmos has been really great in showing me that. He's kind of camera shy. And we're putting this all together, and you can see my halo's not lit up. Maybe next live stream it will be. But okay, so I am going to do a few improv songs, as I am wont to do. And pretty soon, I'm hoping to be able to engage with people on here. And one of the things I'd really like to do is tap into a kind of, well, I think that there are quantum realities that we are connected to. They say the quantum physicists are connecting to this, and I think the ancients have known this for a long time. When I left this society a long time ago, when I met my father for the first time and found out that, well, he had a native bloodline, and as he put it, no offense to anybody out there, I was like, Dad, are we native? And he's like, I'm just a half-breed, don't go wearing feathers or anything. So I decided to wear a plastic halo instead. And I was like, wow. And then I asked him, so Dad, were you like, I heard there's a rumor that you were a bank robber? And he said, I don't want to talk about that. And I said, Dad, you're the coolest deadbeat dad that ever was. That's another story. They were World War II veterans, but I'll get into that another time. But they were part of what became a group that tuned into what might be the Hells Angels later. Not that they were officially Hells Angels, but he was around that time. And by the way, I want to straighten one thing out, because he told me this. He knew some of the original Hells Angels, but the Hells Angels over on the European theater of war were not the Hells Angels bikers from California. My dad was around San Pedro from all those Navy yards where he was inducted into the Navy, lied about his age, by the way, and ended up at Pearl Harbor and went through hell. He also was hit by a missile, or his ship was, and he flipped several times in the air, boom, hit the deck as everything was exploding, and he told me that the medics that were running by him said, that one's dead, get another one. And they were picking up people in stretchers, but my dad said he remembered going to the other world, but he mumbled just in time as he came back into his body on the deck with everything burning. They said, shit, that one's alive. Come back and get him. They came back and get him, and he remembers going to the other world, and he remembers being able to see ghosts after that. And as crazy as that sounds, I've experienced the same thing, because I died when I was a kid, because I had a lung infection. And my dad, came and got us early from a babysitter that he didn't like because he thought there was an evil witch around us. Well, guess what? Turns out that my babysitter was a witch, and that she was doing weird, freaky spells. How did he know it? I don't know. But he somehow knew, or did he? Or was it a coincidence? My mother went and found us psychically because the police, imagine this, weren't really helping her find her child, which was me, who was dying on a tabletop. And my sister was crying for my mom. My mom was praying. This was a few days after we went missing. And she says that she had psychic hearing, which I think that I sometimes have as well, because too many loud rock bands have made me lose some of my hearing. However, I can somehow sense what people are saying. I don't know, quantum level. I don't know if I'm imagining it, but sometimes I can hear people at distances that I couldn't physically hear. And people tell me, how the hell did you hear that? It was all the way on the other side of the room. And when I left, all of this Western society for my dad because he was sick. He said there's relatives in Montana that can heal me. And I was like, Dad, I'm kind of busy trying to be a rock star, but okay, I'll do it. I went up there and I met this guy named Merle Yellow Kidney. And he was from the Blackfeet people. And some of my dad's people, the Métis, had escaped there after Louis Riel rebellion because they were trying to kill all the Métis or imprison them after the rebellion because they didn't want the governments of Canada and the United States and the railroad companies poisoning the land and water with their tar-soaked railroad ties and trying to kill everybody and take over all the land. So they had to scatter, and some of them ran to the Blackfeet reservation, and the Blackfeet helped them. Louis Riel also hid in Montana as a school teacher, but the government said they were going to kill or imprison all of the Métis that were involved unless Louis Riel turned himself in. And he did. And of course, he proved that he never fired a shot, but the wise governments that be killed Louis Riel. He was one of my heroes. Merle Yellow Kidney was one of my heroes. My dad, even though he was a deadbeat dad, and that wasn't right, was kind of a hero because he lived his life for music. He lived his life for riding his motorcycle and having as good a time as he could. And that, I think, especially considering all the darkness that we're going through in the world right now, you should turn your life into a dream. You should make a halo out of a plastic light bulb. You should just dream up your life and investigate your devilish side too. Investigate your shadow, because you're never going to have a full consciousness, a full scope of what you are capable of unless you make peace with the shadow. Your shadow self, which is what my Devlin Shadow name means. And you can find some of my stuff. Eventually, you'll be able to find my live feed there on my Devlin Shadow page on Instagram. And I'll be having my own website and stuff soon. And I'll be working on a series called The Mythical Adventures of Devlin Shadow, which is a goth punk reinterpretation of a lot of mythology. I'll be shooting this here at Union Square Loft, around New York in different areas. And I'm starting tomorrow on Halloween to shoot all of that. And in a way, I'm kind of starting that now, and that's, you could see, in a sense, the beginning of what I will be shooting called The Mythical Adventures of Devlin Shadow. And on that note, I'm just going to make up a song off the top of my head about all of that. So we'll see where it takes us. Shall we? Another planet, and I saw new constellations floating and spinning all around me. And I thought to myself, my God, my gods and goddesses and demons and devils and angels, any single one of these planets that I gaze upon, I could fly there in an instant, faster than thought. Oh, but I could feel my mother somewhere back there calling to me. I could hear her, and I turned from this mountain range on another planet. True story. Or maybe a true dream. What's the difference? And I looked back, and there was a tiny dot like a star. And that was the silver desk with disc. The throne. And for something completely different. And at that disk, I saw the entities, and they were so far away they looked like a star, but suddenly, I was back on the disk with the entities. And they all spoke together through the one that I was looking at, and I could hear all of them. And they said, yes, you can keep going from here if you want to. It's all up to you. But we also sense that you want to go back because your mother's calling you. That's also up to you. The choice is there. The choice is there for you to make. It's all your free will. And I looked at there, took one last look, could see beyond the constellations above the earth, which, by the way, when I looked back at the earth, it wasn't a globe, and it wasn't flat. I perceived it as a torus of energy. It looked more like a donut, and it was glowing, and I could see all these flowing different shapes of body, of water and land, and everything there was close and far, and through my energy body, I could see inside the earth, and it went inside of itself. There was another world there, and I realized there were layers and layers of worlds all around every single world and everything I looked at. So I went back there, and I was back in my body, and when my mother was breathing into my mouth as an infant, a year or so, right around there. And by the way, some family members said that I was born as a Scorpio right around this time of year, but others say, no, no, no. You were born a Taurus, and you were reborn as a Scorpio. And then the christening records and the birth records got mixed up because some family members that were religious said you got to christen him. This happened because he was in danger. You had to bless him. My mom was like, I wanted to make his own choice, but okay, I'll christen him. And we were going to live in Mexico for a while, where she was from, because she wanted to get away from my dad and the United States. Even though she loved the United States, she kind of really missed Mexico. She thought, okay, maybe we'll start over there. But we came back here. We went there for a while, came back here, and those records got transposed. Funny thing, when I met my tribal elders, they were like, oh, you're kind of what some of them called Heyoka, kind of a fool character. And in the tarot cards, I've always been interested in the fool. I think we're all the fool at some point or another. Can't really know anything. You don't know where life goes. And I once looked at the linear stream of the tarot cards. Starts, well, you put the 0 after the major arcana cards, right? But you can also start it with 0. Alejandro Jodorowsky says that you can put them any way you want. They're just cards. You can place them any way you want. You can create a spell, if you will. You can spell out the life that you want. You can place them in any direction you want. But I see them in a linear progression as the journey of the soul. The Fool card is the 0, right? The 0 is both nothing and infinite, okay? Nothing and infinite. The cycle goes round and round. Karmic wheel, the torus of all life. They say now they can read an energy. The hermetic, ecumenical yes men. The hermetic, elitist yes men. Who knows what it means? Who knows who they are? I think there are many theys, and we have to be aware there are many theys. They are the theys of government, many of which are dark. There are the theys of corporations, many of which are dark and greedy and materialistic. But we're all energy. We all have the spiritual mind to change our reality, because life is but a dream with a live stream. And you can change your dream and your live stream. You know, the underground stream. You know, the underground stream. I hope this is still going because I went to a low battery, so I'm going to try and make this work as much as I can. Some of the alchemists said there was an underground stream, a literal place where they could go. Maybe it's a symbolic place. I don't know. Maybe what I experienced that day was a real spiritual vision. I don't know. I don't pretend to know how God or the spiritual world works. But I do know that according to myself and my feelings, that I can change my perceptions of reality. But there are many that have said you can change reality itself by changing your perceptions and projecting outwards from there. So it's a kind of collective vision. I was lucky enough to meet Yoko Ono and Julian Lennon at a fundraiser for Arthur Magazine in Los Angeles. I hope Julie is there watching this. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe she'll see a recording of this later. We went there together. And were we there together? Now I'm not sure of so many things. I went there and I met Yoko Ono and Julian Lennon. And I wanted to talk to Yoko about what they shared during the Vietnam War. We are now in a horrific war and on the edge of World War III, and some people say it's inevitably going to happen. I don't think that it has to inevitably happen. The Vietnam War was raging, and it was horrible, and we were killing innocent people. We were fighting people, but there were also villages being burned. We know all the nightmares, okay? But we did all these political things, all these protests, et cetera, et cetera. But what John Lennon and Yoko Ono were getting at when they laid in their bed naked, they were saying, war is over if you want it. War is over if you want it. War is over if you want it. If you want to redream things, you can. You can change your live stream, your live dream. You can change it, and you can begin to change reality. And if millions of us start concentrating on peace and the end of war, free Palestine, and free Israel, okay? Jews and Christians and Muslims can all get along. We have to want it. They have to want it. And more of us want it, it will happen. There doesn't have to be death. There doesn't have to be murder. There doesn't have to be exploitation. We can do this. If we get a peacenik rabbi in there and he says, let's rebuild and let's do it and pay reparations to the families of the Palestinians that have suffered. Same with people who suffered genocide of the indigenous people upon whose land we are in right now in New York City. And that has to be repaired in one way or another. And we begin by imagining that balance of justice. And I'm not talking about the punishment of the jail systems or the police state. I'm talking about, it could be materialism, it could be money, it could be energy, it could be access to education and the arts. And I'm hoping one day to start my organization called AVA. Okay, that's Artists Vocational Association. And one day I hope to form that nonprofit along with my nonprofit. How is this going? Eve. Eve. That's the for-profit production company in which I hope to produce The Mythical Adventures of Devlin Shadow in blank redacted, the name of the series that I found out is still available. I'm not sure how much longer this is going to go. I think I only have like 10 minutes on this battery. So that's about how long this live stream is going to be. I'm going to cut it short. But right now, I guess I'm going to do a song about, let's see. I'm going to dream up a song about changing reality through dreams. Okay? Let's see how this one goes. I'm making all of these up off the top of my head, so let's see if it works. Wait. that was fun. I hope you guys liked it. Let's see how much time I got left on my battery. Hey, Cosmos, if this goes dead, will it ruin the whole stream? This is already going out, right? I know it's going fine. So if my phone dies, that's just going to be the end of this feed, right, on my Facebook. Okay. I want to get to something important. Okay. I usually use this hat for donations. All right? You can donate through my Facebook. I've never even done this before. From Facebook Messenger. I'm going to be splitting this with Cosmos and the Union Square Loft. I'm trying to get on top of all my jewelry orders. I don't even have money for the shipping, to tell you the truth, and for a lot of the supplies. My t-shirts, my shirts, which this really highly complex one that I became sort of obsessed with and just started going over and over and over is already spoken for. People keep trying to buy it, and I'm not sure what it is about it that kept me going and overdoing it and over-making it and over-designing it, but it's spoken for over in England. But I can do custom art shirts, and this one is a very complicated Devlin Shadows shirt. I don't know if you can see it there. I'm going to be doing very simple ones, which is just done very quickly. Quick Devlin Shadow, asking $45 for those. This one is going for, well, a lot more. And it's, again, already spoken for. But I'm going to be doing those. My apologies to those of you that have made orders since that video of mine on Dose of Society, which has gone over 9 million hits. I just told the truth of the love of my life dying, which is, I wrote a story, a rock and roll version of Orpheus for her years ago as a cautionary tale, but then she died after she was drugged at a party. And eventually, the nonprofit that I'm trying to form, eventually, it's not formed yet, it's just a dream right now, will be in part an alcohol and substance abuse prevention organization, which I did in Montana for the Native community. That was Indigenous Peoples Arts Center. And AVA, A-V-A, is going to do the same thing, but for everybody from any culture. But Indigenous people will always have a voice and always be part of the charter, no matter where they are. I think these low-income artist resource centers should be in every neighborhood as common as libraries and offices, have a place of activity, similar to what Cosmos has going on here. He's doing this for me for free, so I'm asking donations. Any donations you send to me, you can do it through messengers. I'm going to split with him and the Union Square Loft. And I hope that you look him up if you ever want a music video done. He also records this. He uses this place. He records here on CultureStreams. And I'll show you that page. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry for the lo-fi approach to things, but sometimes that works. Hey, it's all punk rock, I guess. All right. Let's see if I can connect to it. Oh, this is his CultureStreams YouTube page. I think it's going live out there. It's going live right now, Cosmos, on your YouTube page? We think so. Okay. We think so about life. We're not always sure, but we do the best that we can, okay? So please, if you want a video done or you want you want to use an event space, can I show them the loft? Can I spin this around? Okay. There's the loft. It doesn't, the video might not be doing justice. He's got a kitchen area. He's got a Halloween party going on Friday. Ooh, tomorrow. Oh my goodness. And there's, do you mind me showing you Cosmos? Okay, there's Cosmos. He'll say a little hello to you in his red tie-dye shirt. And he's got a whole setup, as you can see here. And I'm very, very, very lucky. Professional camera, professional lights. I'm very, very, very lucky to be here. He's producing all of this for free, helping me to jump up to the next level. And I'm hoping we can work together on my Mythical Adventures of Devlin Shadow in Redacted. It's partially about my real-life adventures living with indigenous people in Montana, some of which were distant relatives to the Métis, and some of them not. Some of them were not blood relatives. I met Lakota people, Mandan people, Arikara people. I got to spend time with the Salish community and so many different tribes. And you know, it's funny, people used to question my indigenous heritage, and frankly, I don't blame them, because there's a lot of wannabes and a lot of posers out there. And like my dad said, I'm just kind of a mutt. But when I met elders and I asked them about full bloods and all that, one of very smart man said, you know, there's no real such thing as a full blood, anything, because we're all mixed, we're all children of the Mother Earth, and what matters is our human blood. If we're all human, there's some people that say that we're part alien. They say that we're, well, star people, extraterrestrial people. And maybe that's true. We don't know. I think the mysteries abound. I don't know if evolution has it all figured out. I don't know if the sciences as we know them have it all figured out. I really don't think that that's the case. I think there's a constant mystery, and many wise people have said the wise man knows that they truly know nothing. And I hope that we keep exploring the possibilities of peace. I hope that we keep exploring other cultures. I hope that we start dreaming a better world where ICE is not detaining Mexican people who are indigenous people, period, end of story. The same bloodlines, the same languages, okay? The borders are an imperialist construct, all right? The Uto-Aztecan language base goes way down into Mexico and way up into Utah, okay? But really, all people of the Mother Earth, they're all connected. We're all connected. And all that matters really in the end is our heart, our love, what we can stream into the world, pun intended, and what we can dream up and what we can make of ourselves. So if you have an idea for a video, contact Cosmos. You know, maybe you put it together, maybe you want to put together a talk show about whatever. Okay, maybe consult with him. Support Union Square Lofts, support the arts in general, and yeah, sending a donation to me would be great. And again, for this session, I'm definitely splitting it with Cosmos. And I guess I'm going to do one of my songs that is kind of an Orpheus story, in a sense. It's about a demon who appears to his wife after he's died in war. And the word hasn't even gotten to her yet that he died in a foreign war. Because at this foreign war, a mysterious stranger appears to him after he's dropped off from the front lines. And he was a low-level officer. And he was trying to both protect his men and fight the enemy. And he's exhausted, covered in blood. He had been right out there in the front, like battling with his sword, but he always kept his guitar on his back because it was something he had gotten it from his mother. So he kept it to her, and she said, never, ever let go of it. So he's battling with his sword, but the whole time he really just wanted to keep his guitar, and he wished that he could be a person of peace, bringing peace and beauty and love to the world and not blood and misery. So he's behind the lines there, and he's singing to himself, longing to go home, just crying to God or the devil, saying that he would do anything to get back to his wife, And he's weeping and sobbing onto his guitar, the drops of blood that he's splattered with, mixing with the tears. Then he hears a galloping and a neighing, and he sees a horse in a silhouette with a fire nearby him, and the fires of war behind this general. And at first he thinks it's the enemy. Then it's his ally. And he's going for his sword, but he has his guitar, and he stops. And this general, high general of his own army, which he thought had just been the other side, appears. And he said, I heard what you said. You said you would do anything to get back to your wife? He said, anything, General, anything. I would do anything to get back to her. And he said, good, I've been watching you on the front lines. You're very brave. You've killed many men. And he says, but General, I don't think that's bravery. I think bravery is the ability to protect life. He said, nonsense, young man. This is war. And the only way you will get back to your wife is to keep doing what you're doing. And I will be watching you. And you fight this battle. You take this stream. You get to the other side. and I will make sure you get a passage home, and you will be with your wife, and you will be happy together forever. Together forever. Do you understand me? That's for all eternity. Do you understand? He said, yes. And he said, then take my quill. And he handed it to him, his hand, which was already covered in blood. And he pulls out a document, pulls it out from underneath his brocaded golden vest, and he hands it to him with the feather. And this white feather, this quill, he hands it to them with this black document. And he says, but I can't read it. And he said, it's all there. It's dark. It doesn't matter. And he says, sign here and you'll have it. You know where this is going. And he signs, and it's not just ink. It's also his blood that's dripping off his hand and the blood of other people. He signs it, and he hands it to him. He says, good. Then he puts the feather away and the document. He said, now go. Go to the front lines and fight. So he goes and fights. And he does take the stream, and he goes back to the fireplace where he met the general. And the general said, I gave you my word. Now you can go back. You can ride away. You took the post. You killed many. Go. Go now and ride towards your home. I know which way it is. But, General, how do you know which way it is? I know much more than you think, young man. Go and ride now. So he rides, and he puts his rifle behind him and his guitar behind him and rides and rides and rides. And then as he's riding as fast as he can towards his wife, he gets a funny feeling, and he hears some laughter. And he turns around, and there's the general. And he sees the general raise up his gun and wha-bam, shoots him right through the heart. And that's when he falls off his horse into hell. And from hell, he sings his way up to get back to his wife, to warn her about the devil that is going to arrive. And that's what this song is about. When he appears to her as a demon, you might recognize some of the Spanish about the words that he sings to We're gonna raise up the dead. Woo. Can you see them there, or is it in your head? It's a demon night. Oh, it's a demon night. Only the brave will last to the dawn. Oh, to the night. It's the demon night. Oh, raise your magical horns. Woo! Or put on your magical cape. Ha! A little piece of cloth is all you got to escape and take out the magic sword. That's your word off. Oh, tonight's the demon night. Oh, you're gonna have to put aside your fright. 'Cause tonight's the demon